Hi guys, I really am excited to bring you a performance review of Skyforge. My goodness, just look at the trailer in the background. This game looks to be the most beautiful and impressive Nintendo Switch port we've seen to date.
You settle into your new life.
Hang on, what? What's that? Something's... Oh hell no. Skyforge the game I thought it would be? Let's find out. Alright, in this video we're going to go through the visuals, performance, my thoughts on the gameplay, controls and audio. The structure's not going to be quite the same as a normal format review, but I have taken the liberty of scoring each section and I'll show those all at the end and give it a final score. Let's cut straight to the chase and say that I think Skyforge is one of the worst looking Nintendo Switch games we've currently got. That's not to say it's inherently a poor game, but it does remind me of one of the comments I see very often, and it goes like this. Just because they can, does it mean they should? Yeah. The game seems to be running at a sub-native resolution, potentially going lower than 540p. There looks to be dynamic resolution scaling, however it's less dynamic and more always scaling. The staring effect can be evidently seen on the outside of almost every character, building or piece of scenery, and unfortunately it suffers from a seriously degraded image quality and has the look of a world covered in Vaseline, except I have a feeling that would be more fun. Let's not go there. It's a shame because you can see that underneath there's a beautiful game just crying to get out, but that dropped resolution affects every aspect of your gameplay, and if it was the only issue with the title, we could leave it alone and say it's free, you don't need to play it, but it's so far from the only issue. And when we look at the frame rates, we can see once again another developer that decides that the best option is to keep your frame rates uncapped and let them fluctuate from the mid to high 30s down to the 25s and back up again, because eye strain after all is an enjoyable experience. When it comes to the gameplay itself, this is where I saw some redeeming qualities. It's an MMO that plays out like an ARPG. You can string together different attacks in combination, new combinations becoming unlocked as you progress, and there's even a wide variety of different classes to select, with the game unusually allowing you to change these whenever you want. Heck, there's even a character creator that allows you to tweak and fiddle with your character design all the way down to their buttocks. But here's the issue. The combat in this game is appalling, and it comes down to fundamentally a technical issue again, and it's the collision detection. As you swing your sword around enemies, the collision detection is all over the place. There's a lock-on mechanic allowing you to circle strafe around enemies and hopefully swing your sword in their direction, but the impact of your weapon will very often go whiffing past the enemy despite actually passing clean through them. It creates a ridiculous flailing of weapons and a most unsatisfactory experience. Even when you're taking damage, your character merely vibrates. Just check this out. It's as if they've tasered him rather than hitting him with a sword. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, look, you're being very harsh here, Mark. And you could well be right, but let's carry on nonetheless. So, aside from muddy textures, a low resolution, a fluctuating frame rate, and terrible collision detection, what about the controls? The controls, surely. You can't go wrong with controls. Controls are amazing. Yeah, let's talk about the controls. So, as you'd expect from any action RPG, you can sprint around the what? Hang on, what? Sorry, you what? There's no sprint button. What do you mean there's no sprint? There's no sprint button. Just hold down the right what? What, clicking in the right thumbstick doesn't sprint? What does it do then? Oh, it loads you into a photo mode just by clicking in one stick, the one that's usually assigned to the run button. You're having a laugh, and then how'd you get back out of it? You click it again, and then it goes to a loading screen before it takes you back into the game. That's all right. That's not the end of the world. Look, you don't need a run. You don't need to run around the world. You can just jog at this pace everywhere you go. What's that you just did there? There's a dash move. All right, brilliant. So there is a dash move. Great. You can string that together. Fantastic. So you've got your dash move. You can do a number of abilities which have cooldowns, which you can see down here, and you'll be spamming those buttons like you work in a meat factory. Unfortunately, there's a delay on all of your actions, and more often than not, the visuals and audio don't tie together, so you haven't really got a perception of what abilities are ready to go, and you'll be trying to look down in the corner, whereas a simple sound effect could have let you know when these were ready to go. But what am I saying? It hasn't got a run button. Now, anyone that knows me from watching the channel will know that I'm looking everywhere for redeeming qualities often, and can usually find something that brings a game back to at least a reasonable state for someone. And the area that usually does that is the audio. So let's just indulge in the soundtrack for a second. Yeah, that's broken as well. So most of your missions are selected from the large hub area, and you can team up with groups of your friends, chat with them in local text-based chat, and then that's it. You can head out into the open. It's not an open world. What? It's instances. It's instances, is it? So you go into small areas with very specific mission objectives shown on your map with a green thing that you follow, and then you fight a boss who barely moves as you touch him, and oh good golly. Do you know what? I think I'm out. Unfortunately, as it currently stands, Skyforge is a mess on Nintendo Switch. Yes, it's playable. Yes, there'll be some people that can enjoy this experience. But really, are you telling me you haven't got a better game in your backlog to finish right now? Because no, I'm not enjoying any aspect of the title. The shopping window is constantly brought in front of the player's face with advertisements for daily deals, etc. And I don't feel like the gameplay is rewarding enough or polished enough to warrant my time, and certainly not my money. If you can get a group of friends together, then don't get me wrong, there's a chance you can have some enjoyment, but I think there are better alternatives. Things like Wargroove, Warface, and maybe even something like Fortnite might be a better experience. Unfortunately, the gameplay suffers from too many poor decisions and terrible collision detection. The controls are okay, but the omission of some options just seems a bit odd, and they're a little floaty. I give gameplay 5. Controls, just because they lack a few basic options, they're still okay. They score 10. While the visuals are very blurry, with lots of aliasing around the edges, they're probably one of the better aspects of the game. They score 10 out of 20, and the audio is currently broken. That scores 2 out of 20. And of course, value scores 20 out of 20 because, well, the game's free, which gives a final SwitchUp score of 47%, which, let's be honest, if you don't give value 20 out of 20, is more like 27%, not the highlight of my week. Thanks to all of you who watch the channel, who enjoy the content. I know this one's been a little bit harsh potentially, and I would suggest if you're interested and you have another platform, go and check it out where it plays the way it was meant to. Thanks to our patrons, we've had a couple of new ones. All the information about that is down in the description. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!